Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers trespassing, handcuffing, and the right to film, and is brought to us by a New Citizens channel and New York State Audits channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. This will be another double feature episode, so be sure to stick around for our coverage of both of today's interactions. On June 23rd, 2024, senior citizen Veda Mintz was walking down a residential street in Springfield, Missouri, when she saw an empty house that she was interested in potentially renting. She walked onto the front yard of the home and was walking towards the back in an attempt to look at the size of the backyard, but a neighbor told her to leave. Ms. Mintz complied with the request and continued on her way without looking in the backyard. The neighbor reported the incident to the police, and officers from the Springfield Police Department responded to the call. The encounter that followed was captured on officer body camera.
I think the dude I called even knew what was going on. I just randomly asked him, "Okay, can we go in your house? And do you want to press charges?"
I guess.
Yes and yes.
Hello. Hello, sir.
I believe Susan called.
Yeah, that'll be my mother. Okay, it's that house right there.
Yeah, so is she still here? Can I talk to
Yes,
her?
she is. She's in the bathroom right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I was the one who found out that was unlocked.
Okay. Did you see the female back there, too?
I saw her walking back there, and I yelled at my mom that somebody's going in the backyard, and I ran out and stopped her.
Yeah, okay. When was the last time you guys noticed?
That's actually the female right there.
Okay. You want to talk about
Right over there. The one with the bag.
Hey, police, stop.
Me?
Yes, you.
Can I help you?
Yeah. Yeah. So, somebody seen you, into the backyard? Yeah.
Well, see, I seen the people move out, and they had a box of stuff. When they moved out, that was in the yard for free. So I seen they moved out, and I said, well, I'm going to check out the backyard, see how big it is, because it's empty. She cussed me up once I'm down there.
Who did?
That lady.
Who? This lady?
Yes, she did. She said,
Cussed you out?
can't. Yeah, she says, you can't go back there. Don't you ever send anybody back there in that yard. I said, ma'am, I wasn't going in there. I was just trying to look at the backyard, see if it was
Where
big
do you
enough.
live?
I live at Battlefield Towers.
Live at Battlefield Towers?
Yeah.
You walk there after getting groceries?
Yes. That's the only way I have to get around.
Okay.
I was not doing nothing wrong, sir.
You were in the backyard just
No,
seeing how
I didn't
big-
even go to. I didn't even get there. She wouldn't let me go
Hey,
back
why are you
there.
yelling at me? Am
I'm
I
sorry,
yelling at you? No. Okay,
I'm sorry.
let's chill out, okay? I'm trying to figure out what's
I
going on.
have
Okay?
anxiety. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
you're
I
fine.
can't deal with that.
Sorry, I had to raise my voice. You were raising your voice, okay?
Because of my anxiety, because it's stupid. All I wanted to do was look at the backyard because
So how far did you get into the yard?
I didn't even get to where her dog was because the dog started barking when I got back, so I
don't know
came
where her
off.
dog is. Where?
It's right between the houses with the...
So you went between the houses.
No, I was walking toward the backyard. I didn't get to the back.
You didn't get to the backyard?
No.
Why were you looking in the backyard again? Just to see how big it was?
To see how big...
Were you looking at buying the house?
Well, I thought maybe he was going to rent it or something, and I was trying to see the yard
So
to
you
see if it was big enough.
Okay. I'm just trying to get your story here, okay?
That's my story.
I gotta get both sides.
I understand that. Well, thank you for doing that. But I didn't do anything wrong.
So you saw he was moving out, so you were going to check out the backyard, see how big it was, because you were
Right.
thinking about renting the house, if it was
Correct.
up for rent.
Exactly.
She came out and started yelling and
She
cursing
yelled
at
at me through the kitchen window.
you. Oh, okay.
I just turned around and left and went ahead and walked and got my groceries. I don't want to live there anyway because I can't live next to that because I'd be doing this all the time.
Yeah, we don't want
I
that.
have.
Her anxiety would go crazy, wouldn't it?
At PTSD, she don't know that.
Okay. I'm sorry that you have that, okay? What is your name?
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm talking to you, and I'd like to know your name for, what's
I
going
don't
on
want her
here.
to know my damn name. I don't want her to know
I'm
nothing
not
about me.
giving her your name. This is for me.
I don't understand why you always have to give your name. I just didn't do nothing. All I did.
What's wrong with giving a name? You got something to hide, or
Not hardly.
not hardly? Well, then what is your name?
It's Veda Mintz. Spell it yourself. I'm tired. I've just walked in the sun and I'm walking back in the sun. And she wants to complain about it because I wanted to check out the yard so I can possibly maybe rent this house or whatever.
You just go grocery shopping, or
Yes, I did. Walked all the way to Food for Less.
you walked pretty far, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And I'm hot. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. And I just want to go home. And I didn't think.
Well, I need to know your name, okay? You need
Vita Mines.
you
That's
need-
all I'm telling you. That's my name.
You need to spell it out for me.
No, I don't.
I
You
have
can
to
spell.
identify you. Vita
Sure.
Mize?
Mainz.
Mainz?
This is German. MEINTS. And that's all I'm telling you. Figure the rest out yourself. I live at Battlefield Towers, and that's all I'm telling you. Because I have
Well,
not
I
done
need to
nothing.
identify you because I have reasonable suspicion that you were trespassing on that property, okay?
I was not trespassing on that property.
Okay, as of this moment, you are detained, so you have to identify yourself.
VETA, stupid.
The officer argues that Ms. Mainz is required to identify herself because she is being detained on reasonable suspicion of trespassing. Although Section 84.710 of the Missouri Revised Statutes gives Kansas City police officers the authority to demand that individuals identify themselves based on reasonable suspicion of criminal activity, this statute only applies to Kansas City, while Ms. Mainz was in Springfield, and the state has passed no other so-called stop and identify statute. However, Section 78-36 of the Springfield Code of Ordinances states that, quote, no person shall refuse to disclose one's legal name to a law enforcement officer upon being lawfully stopped, detained, or arrested by a law enforcement officer. As such, a court would likely conclude that Ms. Mainz was legally obligated to identify herself if her detention was, quote-unquote, lawful or supported by at least reasonable suspicion of illegal activity. However, according to Section 569.140 of the Missouri Revised Statutes, quote, a person commits the offense of trespass in the first degree if he or she knowingly enters unlawfully or knowingly remains unlawfully in a building or inhabitable structure or upon real property. A person does not commit the offense of trespass in the first degree by entering or remaining upon real property unless the real property is fenced or otherwise enclosed in a manner designed to exclude intruders, or as to which notice against trespass is given by actual communication to the actor, or posting in a manner reasonably likely to come to the attention of intruders. Now, because Ms. Mainz did not enter a fenced or posted yard and left when she was asked to do so, it is improbable that a court would conclude that the officers had reasonable suspicion to believe that she had committed trespass in the first degree. However, under Section 569.150 of the Missouri Revised Statutes, quote, a person commits trespass in the second degree if he or she enters unlawfully upon real property of another. This is an offense of absolute liability. Well, given the broad language of this statute and lack of criminal intent required, it seems probable that a court would conclude that the officers had at least reasonable suspicion, and likely even probable cause, to believe that Ms. Mainz committed second-degree trespassing by entering the yard without permission, and therefore that Ms. Mainz was required to identify herself, despite the innocuous nature of her entry onto the property.
Well, that's not very nice.
Well, you ain't very nice either, so there you go.
I was starting out nice till you started yelling at me.
No, you yelled at me first. She yelled at me first. You want to get the truth about it. Gets my PTSD in. And then you want to stop me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you did. I'm glad you didn't have nothing else
Hey,
better to do with your time.
I don't want to put you in handcuffs, okay?
Well, whatever. Do whatever it is you got to do.
What's your date of birth?
I was born in October 27, 1959. I'm 5'2". I weigh 90 pounds. I have PTSD. I have anxiety disorder, depression disorder. I did not do anything wrong. I'll be 65 years
Go ahead and
old.
put your hands behind your back for me.
No.
Stop resisting. Stop.
I'm not doing anything.
Okay. See, I didn't want to have to do this,
Yes,
all right?
you did, or you
What do
wouldn't
you
have done
mean?
it.
You're the
love
one who
it.
was
You
freaking
guys
out.
That's all you guys do.
The officers placed Ms. Mainz in handcuffs, claiming that they did so because she was, quote-unquote, freaking out. As we have discussed before here on ATA, the use of handcuffs does not automatically transform a Terry stop detention into an arrest, and officers may generally use handcuffs or other restraints in situations where the detainee is physically resisting, otherwise posing a danger to the safety of himself or others, or likely to flee flee. If the level of restraint is deemed excessive or unnecessary for the circumstances, a court may determine that the Terry stop has escalated into a so-called de facto arrest. As the Western District Missouri Court of Appeals explained in the 1999 case of State versus Fleiderer, quote, even if no formal arrest is made, a de facto arrest occurs when the officer's conduct is more intrusive than necessary for an investigative stop. In deciding whether this standard is met, we look at whether the police use the least intrusive means of detention reasonably necessary to achieve their investigative purpose. The factors to be considered in determining whether police conduct constitutes a de facto arrest include the duration of the stop, whether the suspect was handcuffed or confined in a police car, whether the suspect was transported or isolated, and the degree of fear and humiliation that the police conduct engenders. This shift to a de facto arrest means that the officer must have probable cause to believe that the person committed a crime, rather than the lower threshold of reasonable suspicion. In this situation, the use of handcuffs does not appear to be justified by safety concerns, as the officers placed Ms. Meintz in handcuffs in response to her verbal dissent, rather than an act of physical resistance or an attempt to flee. However, even if a court concluded that the use of handcuffs in this situation escalated the detention to a de facto arrest, as we discussed earlier in this episode, it is likely that a court would conclude that the officers had probable cause to suspect Ms. Meintz of second-degree trespassing. Section 544.216 of the Missouri Revised Statutes states that, quote, any county or municipal law enforcement officer in this state may arrest, on view and without a warrant, any person who such officer has reasonable grounds to believe has violated any ordinance or law of this state, including a misdemeanor or infraction, over which such officer has jurisdiction. Accordingly, it is probable that a court would determine that the officers would have been within their authority, under both the Fourth Amendment and state law, to arrest Ms. Meintz, which a court would almost certainly conclude justified the use of handcuffs.
Sure.
You don't do nothing else to old people? No.
Let go of your phone.
Let go of the phone. I'm done being nice with you.
Yeah, why don't you just, here, check my purse.
What's your deal?
Take whatever you want.
What's your deal, man?
I have PTSD and she does set it off.
Okay.
You guys are not listening, but that don't matter
And
to
you were on a property that you're not allowed to be on.
Okay, I seen that it was still empty. I said, well, I'm just going to walk back and look at the backyard, see if it's big enough for my dog.
So you just admitted you trespassing on property.
Didn't
You have
even
no
get
permission to be there.
I walked
And you're
between.
walking on the property to look in the backyard.
I didn't get to get to the backyard. I got to where the end of that there.
Okay, what's your date of birth again?
October 27th, 1959. Would you like me to bow down to you too?
Why would I want that?
Hey,
That's
you
weird.
act like
Why
you're.
are you being weird?
Oh, hey, aren't we all?
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
So where were you headed to with all your stuff? Because you obviously just got
Sir,
out of there.
I walked from Battlefield Towers to Food for Less. I walked all the way down Woodland Street. I didn't make no stop. I left
Who do you
it.
know that lives over here then?
I live at Battlefield Towers.
Okay, so why,
I walked down
if you live
Woodland to
at
go
Battlefield Towers, why are you trying to look in a backyard? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
because I have another dog. And I was trying to see how big the yard was because I knew the house was empty. That's why. And I didn't even get to where that big tree is right there by the house because her dog started barking. And after that, I backed off and started walking off after she cussed me out.
Vita Mints, October 27th.
Vita Mines.
Mines,
Yes.
whatever.
I'll see if I can.
Yeah, because I told him that, but he don't remember.
So here's the thing. This house is still owned, okay? And there's people that are watching that house, okay? I've already contacted the owner, and he wants to pursue charges against anybody that's on his property.
Okay.
So, you are not to be on this property,
I
and if I
understand.
catch you here, I'm going to take you to jail for trespassing.
Okay, well,
Do
you won't
understand
ever.
that?
Yes, sir, I do,
Okay.
and I won't
We're
ever
gonna
do
take-
that
We're
again.
going to take those off you,
I just.
and you can continue walking out to where you live, okay?
Thank you.
You understand why we're here, though?
Yeah, because there's no such thing as freedom.
So here's the thing. I get charged with enforcing the law. That's part of my job. Talking to people on the street who are, I've been told, are in conjunction with a crime I'm investigating. That's part of my job. You mentioned freedom. Part of people's freedom is property rights. Okay?
They should have
And
done
that's
that
what
for
you
my
violated.
son.
That's what you violated when you went onto their property. So
Yeah.
I'm here to enforce people's property rights.
And it takes.
But I know that you don't agree with what we do.
No, I do.
But you're good
a
to move
point.
along.
Okay, thank you.
You are free to go.
Thank you.
After allowing Ms. Mites to leave, the officers speak with the neighbors who called them.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm starting to get a little uncomfortable because like both houses on either side of me are vacant.
At least you know who owns this one. But
Yeah.
this chick is going to be tied to this. I'll put her in as a person of interest. Her story doesn't even make sense. She claims she knew it was vacant and was going to the back to see if it was big enough for her dog. Like, that story doesn't make any sense to me,
She
so.
would have had no way to know it was vacant unless she
Was inside.
She says she's seen people moving from
Yeah,
here.
She claims she saw people
So
move
she was
out,
thinking
but
about renting it.
no, but she hasn't seen anybody move out because
It's not even up for
things
rent.
weren't
Yeah, I
moved.
know.
With it being a few months, we've had those heavy rainstorms too. I'll do my best to see if I can get any fingerprints off that window that's on the ground.
Well, maybe the sill going in. They'd
Yeah,
have
it was
had to.
still going in, but with the heavy rain we've had, that kind of washes the oils away from our fingers. But we'll do our best. But
Well, thank you guys.
Absolutely.
And I'll give Gary a call and
yeah, we'll give him a call too. Just let
Cry.
him know what's going on. Would you mind to fingerprint that back window?
The one, is it on the
The one that's
ground?
on the ground in the back, yeah.
In the backyard?
And then maybe like just inside that windowsill.
You got a fingerprint kit?
I do. Her story just doesn't make sense. She lives at Battlefield Towers, just down the freaking street.
She
Why the hell
walks
is she
to
here?
She walks to Food for Less. So she said that she was walking here. She didn't have any bags. She just had her little pink purse or whatever.
So she did go to Food for Less.
Yeah, she went to Food for Less, and then on her way back, somehow, by the grace of God, she stopped right in front of us. So
Yeah.
bad luck on her part, but
It's very bad luck on her part.
I was like, "Why are you going back there?" And she's like, "Well, I was seeing how big the backyard was because I seen people moving out, and if it was up for rent, I was gonna rent it." I'm like, "Okay."
No, you weren't. You already rent a place. Why would you come rent this place?
I'm gonna go try to pull some prints. We'll see.
One of the officers dusted for prints, but he was unable to find any usable evidence. It is unclear whether Ms. Mites filed a formal complaint against the officers, but her son, who owns a New Citizens YouTube channel, obtained the body camera footage and shared it on his channel. He also created a Give, Send, Go campaign for Ms. Mites, who was forced to leave her home and has been living with her son ever since September 27, 2024. The campaign was created to cover various living expenses for Ms. Mites and, now quoting from the campaign, legal fees to hold the responsible officers accountable, indicating that Ms. Mites may be pursuing a lawsuit against the Springfield officers in the future. Overall, the Springfield officers get a C- for maintaining a disrespectful and unprofessional demeanor throughout the encounter, unnecessarily handcuffing an elderly woman who was accused of simply walking onto a residential lawn, and failing to understand and believe Ms. Mites' perfectly reasonable explanation for why she entered the property. This was a challenging grade to issue, as the officers likely did remain within their legal authority throughout the encounter, and appropriately exercised their discretion not to arrest Ms. Mites for a second-degree trespassing offense. However, I would be remiss if I did not mention the unnecessary use of handcuffs, which appeared to be in retaliation for Ms. Mites' constitutionally protected speech, and the cavalier nature in which the officers discussed quote-unquote slamming a 90-some-pound elderly woman with PTSD.
Like, stop
I was
resisting.
talking with them
will
and I was
slam
watching you. And then because I heard you raise your voice at her, and so that's when I was like, I'm gonna keep an eye on that. And then I see her like starting to pull away from you and stuff. And I was like, oh no, we got to
She wouldn't
dump
have
this 59-year-old.
She wouldn't have gotten far.
Officers should only resort to the use of physical force when absolutely necessary, and it is essential that they take the potential injury to the suspect into question when deciding on the appropriateness of a use of force. Here, the officer unabashedly and gleefully stated that he would have quote-unquote slammed Ms. Mites if she passively resisted him, which, assuming he meant that he would slam her to the ground, could cause significant injury to a senior citizen, despite the fact that she would clearly not pose a significant threat. This statement is unsettling, to say the least, and it gives me great concern about this officer's ability to appropriately and constitutionally apply physical force when it is necessary to perform his duties. Ms. Mites gets an A-, because although she did potentially violate the trespass law by entering the yard, her actions would be considered socially acceptable by most citizens, and was far from the type of conduct that is typically considered to be criminal. Ms. Mites also did an excellent job in voicing her objections to the detention itself, which, although it was likely lawful, seemed like an unreasonable use of the officer's time, given the extremely insignificant nature of the allegations against her, and the use of handcuffs, which appeared to be punitive and entirely unnecessary. I would also like to commend Ms. Mites for sharing her mental health conditions with the officers, as these details are important in informing officer decision-making. And although these officers failed to act reasonably with this information, cruelly deciding to place her in handcuffs and further traumatize her instead, had Ms. Mites been dealing with more compassionate officers, this information could have assisted them in making better decisions about how to interact with her during the investigation. Let's move on to the next interaction. On September 16, 2022, constitutional activist and investigative journalist Daniel Castillo, the owner of the New York Audit YouTube channel, visited the Schenectady City Hall in Schenectady, New York to exercise his First Amendment right to record in public and publicly accessible areas. Mr. Castillo has a long history with Schenectady City Hall that includes a prior arrest for trespassing that resulted in a temporary protection order, although both the trespassing charge and the protection order were later dropped. I've included a link to his channel's Schenectady City Hall playlist if you're interested in seeing more of these encounters. In the interaction we're going to review today, Mr. Castillo was detained in the lobby by City Hall Special Peace Officer Michael Wager, who called the Schenectady Police, and Sergeant Joseph Gatta, Officer Joseph D'Alessandro, and Officer Michael Burke responded. The encounter that followed was captured on Sergeant Gatta's body camera.
A pending court issue, he's escorted to court. The standing orders in place.
Right.
He's had to go investigations, can't go to offices. He said he had to go to the mayor's office, had an appointment, had some business. I checked with them, and they said because of pending litigation, they want to speak to him.
Okay.
I explained the process that if we wanted to talk to him in the office, we do it outside the security checkpoint, we bring the people down, we assist him in any way. I allowed him to walk from the outside areas here. He tried to get in the clerk's office, I wouldn't let him in.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we stand now.
What's up, sir?
How's it going? Can you please identify yourself?
Sergeant Joseph Gatta.
Badge number 2111?
Yep. What is the ultimate goal here? You can't just hang out here all day.
I'm not hanging out.
Okay.
Did you not hear just what he said?
Yeah.
He just said that I'm trying to go to the clerk's office.
But you can't go there, so.
Why not?
Because you're not allowed in there, right?
Why not, though?
It's pending investigation, any business conducted outside.
Is that a court order?
If you want to talk to anybody, you can do it over there.
Is there a court order saying I'm not allowed to be here?
They can allow or not allow anybody
That's not how
in
it
here.
works.
It
That's
is.
not how it works. Can you please identify yourself, please, sir? And you?
Do you want him out of here, or?
40?
You know, I let him walk the
And
halls
Burke?
and videotape, but by the order of Chief Whipple, any business is to be conducted outside security checkpoint.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
What staff member do you need to talk to, sir? He said that he's willing to get a staff member to talk to you, but you have to do it over there.
Why are you telling me I have to? Well, you don't even have paperwork yourself stating that, what he's saying.
Okay. I don't carry around all of our orders in my pocket.
I'm going to need you, right, to do what you normally do, is investigate,
I am.
okay, and find out if there is such order.
I am. I'm familiar with who you are.
Okay, so I know you are. I know you are. So it's verbal. See what I mean?
Okay.
It was never told to me. It's told to them. I was never mailed anything. It's not legal.
Okay, but they're not going to allow you in any of the offices.
Which they have no right. You know what they're
Yes, they
doing,
do.
right? No, they're violating my right. Do you know the oath you took, right? This one right here?
They have the
Sir, I'm
complete
sorry.
right to
Sorry.
not allow you in
no,
one of the
they
offices.
don't.
Yes, they do.
I have the same equal rights as every other citizen here.
Okay.
If you violate that, you're violating the First Amendment right, freedom of the press.
Okay.
Okay? I'm a journalist, independent journalist, investigative journalist.
Good.
Okay, I have a right to do this.
See,
Sir, I am continuing.
Unless we're going to
I'm
kick him
talking
out
to
and
you.
arrest him, then we're going to.
I am trying to go upstairs, like I have a right
He can't go to the
to.
office, so the business has to be conducted over there. I'm willing to bring whoever he wants down. The mayor's office will speak to him. Other issues.
See what I mean?
But
But where paperwork are they showing me? They're
Is it
not
to the
providing-
point where he's going to be arrested for trespassing?
I haven't done anything.
The only crime is if they ask you to leave and you refuse
it's not
to leave.
lawful.
That's trespassing.
It's not lawful. Not during business hours. Think about what you're saying.
Sergeant Gatta claims that Mr. Castillo could be arrested for trespassing if he was asked to leave and refused, and Mr. Castillo argues that this is not the case during business hours. According to Section 140.05 of the New York Penal Law, quote, "A person is guilty of trespass when he knowingly enters or remains unlawfully in or upon premises." Section 140.00 of the Penal Law defines the term premises as including any building and states that, quote, "A person enters or remains unlawfully in or upon upon premises when he is not licensed or privileged to do so. A person who, regardless of his intent, enters or remains in or upon premises which are at the time open to the public, does so with license and privilege, unless he defies a lawful order not to enter or remain, personally communicated to him by the owner of such premises or other authorized person. Accordingly, while individuals may be charged for trespassing under New York law if they're asked to leave a building that is open to the public and refuse, the request to leave the building must be a so-called lawful order. As we will discuss later in this episode, Mr. Castillo would have a strong argument that any order to leave was not lawful, as it was solely based on his exercise of his First Amendment rights. If a court agreed with this argument, then it would likely conclude that Mr. Castillo could not be convicted of trespassing, even if he refused an order to leave City Hall.
Think about what you're saying.
The clerk's office come down.
Okay,
and get the paper
that's
for
up to you. I was trying to go in. Let me speak. Can I speak?
No.
I already explained to him. Okay, I was trying to go in and he was violating my rights to do so. All right, without cause. Okay, so this is the oath you took to. Okay, First Amendment. I have a right to conduct business here. What's the issue? Tell me.
The issue is that you can conduct your business, but over there.
See, now you're restricting my movement, telling me where I can go in a public space. You're violating my rights. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
You're either going to get the clerk.
We will see.
Yeah, we will see. You're either going to get the clerk, right?
Yes, but you have to go over there.
No, I don't have to go anywhere. Stop violating
They're not
my
going
rights.
to. They're not going to allow you in the office.
So what? I have a right to be anywhere else I feel like conducting my business.
No, you don't.
Well, who says?
Wasn't there an order of protection?
Who says? See? Is there an order of protection? Is there?
There was one,
Why don't you
yes.
investigate? Why don't you investigate? You can go get my paperwork.
Do that.
Yeah, see, do your job.
Yourself.
21.
If you'd like, you can have the clerk or the office
Feel
come
free.
down here.
Have her come down.
21, go ahead.
Can you run this mail's information and let me know if there's still an order of protection barring him from City Hall? This guy's the worst.
Then I got on the phone when they told me the front desk when I was like, how do you want me to proceed with this? Before I went upstairs and they walked out.
You take notes because you're representing them. That's what you're doing. You're the Sarge, all right? So they, whether I don't know if you guys look up to me, but they look up to you.
Okay, Daniel.
So they're gonna follow your lead.
I was called here by him,
But,
so yes,
but
I'm
you're gonna
talking.
act on it, though, right?
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yes,
Are we
depending
gonna
on
follow-
what happens with this
are we
phone
gonna
call.
enforce
Yes.
law? Are we gonna enforce law or feelings?
Depending on what happens with this
No,
phone
you're
call.
law enforcement.
Yes.
You're law enforcement, man.
Trespassing
Think
is a
about
law,
what you're
Daniel.
saying, you're law enforcement. Yeah, I'm gonna be right here. I need to hear this conversation.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
All right. Well, as long as the officer's next to you, and I can go anywhere I want in a public space. So, you mind not restricting my movement?
They're talking right now.
And
you can stay right
in
there.
a public space.
It's a marriage license application.
Yes.
Okay.
And why can't I go in there in person?
Because you don't need to.
Why?
Because we're providing you the service by giving you what you're looking for.
Well, technically, you'd be providing it if I went in without being harassed and I got the paperwork.
I disagree.
Okay. So when I go to do that, to file complaints against you, we'll see if you keep me out of that office. Because remember, I have a right to file my grievances, okay, to our government. See, that's another thing about the Constitution. We have a First Amendment rights, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of speech. You understand? And I know they're not teaching you that at the academy. I know that. But guess what? I'm here. I'll teach you. I'll educate you, inform you however you want it. But
Perfect.
you're going to learn whether you want it or not.
I'm a lucky man.
Yes, you are.
Hello.
Are you here for the mayor's license?
Yes.
Okay, Sam's getting it.
Okay.
Along with the pamphlet.
All right. Thank you.
Are you over there still?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So he's allowed in the building, he's not allowed to record. If he's there for legitimate business purposes per the chief of police. Station 935.
He is here to pick up a marriage license, which I am hand delivering to him right now.
He's allowed in the building, but there is nobody allowed to record in the building.
Okay.
That's the end of it. So he can go in the building, but he's not allowed anybody recording in there. It's a security threat, they can be removed.
Okay.
There'll be signs going up and everything else. You don't have to tell them all that, but long story short is, in the building, no recording.
All right. And if he refuses?
If he refuses, then he can be arrested.
Okay. Perfect. So if would it just be trespassing? I don't know what the law is for not being able to record.
Oh, I'll call you right back.
Yep.
Yeah, good
Here's
job.
the paperwork.
Good job. You
Okay.
did great.
I have official word
great.
on everything that you're allowed to do. Do you understand?
Don't care because I know my rights.
Okay.
So, are we all set here? Oh,
So he's allowed to
you
be
want
any.
to say something? Oh, you could tell me the incident number, please.
Okay, you're allowed to be
Incident
anywhere
number.
you want in the building.
I don't want to
You
hear
cannot
that.
record in here anymore.
So I can't record in here anymore.
No.
That's what you guys are saying?
I'm telling you, you can't record past that area right
Who said
there.
that to you? I'm just curious.
The chief of police.
The Chief Eric Clifford.
Yes.
The Chief of Police stated
Yes.
that I am not allowed to
You can
film
only
here.
record in City Hall up until the security entrance and then nowhere beyond.
So where's the statute for that?
Huh?
What federal statute? What written law?
I'm
does
just
that?
advising
No, I'm just
you.
curious. I'm just curious.
Okay.
What law is that?
I'm going to find out soon. I just got word
see,
from the
so
chief.
you're just making up.
Making up
You're a
anything.
clown, man.
Okay.
Sergeant Gata informs Mr. Castillo that, according to the chief of police, he is not permitted to film in City Hall past the security entrance. As we've discussed before here on ATA, although the Supreme Court has not explicitly held that the right to film in public areas exists, a growing number of jurisdictions have recognized that citizens have a First Amendment right to record public officials performing their duties in public. Unfortunately, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over New York, has not addressed the issue, but many other federal circuits have recognized a right to film the police, with some circuits acknowledging a broader right to film public servants. For instance, in the 2000 case of Smith versus City of Cumming, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals held that, quote, "The First Amendment protects the right to gather information about what public officials do on public property, and specifically, a right to record matters of public interest. Accordingly, it is likely that a court would conclude that Mr. Castillo did have a First Amendment right to film in the publicly accessible areas of City Hall. However, the fact that a First Amendment right to film exists does not mean that this right is unlimited, and the government may constitutionally restrict this right under certain circumstances. Some courts have used a so-called forum-based analysis to determine the constitutionality of restrictions on the First Amendment right to film, which applies different levels of quote-unquote scrutiny to restrictions on speech based on the type of property to which the restriction was being applied. However, the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York held in the 2024 case of Reyes versus City of New York that the forum analysis did not apply, now quoting, when analyzing whether someone attempting to record themselves on government property for information gathering and speech purposes is protected by the First Amendment. Instead, the court applied so-called intermediate scrutiny, which means that any restrictions on speech must, now quoting, be content neutral, be narrowly tailored to meet a significant government interest, and leave open ample alternative means of communication. Well, under this analysis, it is likely that a court would conclude that a total ban on filming in the publicly accessible areas of City Hall would be unconstitutional, as it is unclear what quote-unquote significant government interest such a restriction would serve. And also, it fails to allow for alternative means of recording the actions that public officials take on public property.
Please,
Are you done here then?
Do not rush me.
Are you
I'm
done here
talking,
then?
conducting business still. So, Mr. Andrews, thank you very much.
Your official business all set, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm walking out right now. Stop touching me. Back up, dude. Get out of my
You
face.
can turn off that
Get
right
out of
now.
my face.
You can turn that off
I'm
right
walking
now.
out. Get out of my
Go.
face.
Go.
Tyrant.
Go.
Get out of my... Dude,
Go.
the body camera's on, right?
Yes, it is.
Good.
Go.
Good. You're done. I want
Okay.
the incident number.
Perfect. I'll give it to you outside. Let's go.
Clown, what you want? Do something. I dare you. I dare you to do something, clown.
Go.
Stop touching me.
Keep walking.
Stop touching me.
Keep walking.
I'm walking.
Keep walking.
I'm walking.
Keep walking.
I'm walking. You want to intimidate people?
Keep walking.
Go ahead, back up.
You're not walking at
back
all.
Up.
Nope.
Back up.
No, you back up. That's the entrance.
You're in my space.
Turn around.
You're in my space.
Your business
You're
is
in my
over.
space.
Turn around.
Back the up.
Turn around.
You see that, right? You guys see that for yourself. Violating my Fourth Amendment rights. Violating my First Amendment rights. Violating my 14th Amendment right. Section 1. Tyrant.
Follow me.
Get my incident number.
Follow me.
Mr. Castillo was escorted from the City Hall building, and on October 13th, 2022, less than a month after this encounter, Schenectady Mayor Gary McCarthy issued an executive order prohibiting citizens from filming and recording without consent in city-owned properties, except for chambers where public meetings are being conducted. This executive order attracted the attention of several other First Amendment auditors, and on March 14th, 2024, Daniel Warmus of the Auditing Erie County YouTube channel attempted to film film inside Schenectady City Hall, and then exited after he was informed that he would be considered a trespasser if he continued to film. On July 10th, 2024, Mr. Warmus filed a lawsuit against the city of Schenectady and Mayor McCarthy, asking the court to strike down the prohibitions regarding filming on city property. Mayor McCarthy has indicated to the press that he intends to fight to preserve the executive order, and as of the date of writing this episode, the lawsuit is still pending. Additionally, on April 1st, 2024, Sean Paul Reyes, the creator of the Long Island Audit YouTube channel and a plaintiff in the Reyes versus City of New York case that we discussed earlier in this episode, also went to Schenectady City Hall to film. Mr. Reyes was arrested and charged with trespassing after he refused to stop recording and leave. As of the date of writing this episode, that charge is still pending, and Mr. Reyes has indicated that he intends to file a federal lawsuit. Overall, the Schenectady officers and Schenectady Mayor Gary McCarthy get an F for unconstitutionally limiting the First Amendment right to film in City Hall, treating Mr. Castillo like a criminal for attempting to exercise that right, and for Sergeant Gata in particular engaging with Mr. Castillo in a disrespectful and dismissive manner throughout the encounter. While Schenectady government officials have explained that the filming ban exists to allow employees to do their job without fear of being harassed or annoyed, this hardly constitutes a significant government interest, and truly harassing behavior can be prohibited without banning all filming in public buildings. As the unnamed author of an editorial in the Daily Gazette argued, quote, "Blanket bans like these not only invite suspicion, but criticism and litigation without serving a legitimate public purpose. Freedom sometimes makes people uncomfortable. It sometimes embarrasses people, and sometimes catches people behaving inappropriately or illegally. But as long as security and privacy are respected, the citizens should be able to record their interactions with government officials who work in public buildings like City Hall. It is a small price to pay for freedom." I wholeheartedly agree with this sentiment, and I strongly urge Mayor McCarthy to reconsider the ban on filming in Schenectady government buildings, as it is highly likely that this policy violates the First Amendment. Mr. Castillo gets an A-, because although I believe that a less confrontational and more respectful style of auditing can be more effective, Mr. Castillo likely remained within his First Amendment rights throughout the encounter, both in his speech to the officer and his attempts to film, and he strongly advocated for his constitutional rights as they were being violated. Mr. Castillo has demonstrated an ongoing commitment to ensuring that the Schenectady government does not infringe upon the rights of its citizens, and I truly hope that his efforts and advocacy, along with the actions of Mr. Warmus and Mr. Reyes, result in a meaningful change to the Schenectady government's harsh and unconstitutional stance on filming. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.